Hello everyone, welcome to the another chapter which is ECG. So as per my experience, I know that 100 out of 50% of students feeling difficulty in understanding ECG. So we'll understand ECG in a simpler way. So like as you can see, I divided it in sections so it will be easier for everyone to understand. First rhythm, as you can see, rhythm, rate, axis, P wave, PR interval, Q wave, R wave, QRX complex, QT interval, ST segment and T waves. So what are these points? So as you can see, I just shown a simple diagram here, but I will explain what are the points and how are they taken. So as you can see on the screen, this is your ECG. A lead. So there are so many leads and numbers and many graphs are there in the ECG that it makes it so complicated that whenever we look at the ECG, we are blank. So first learn what are the elements of the ECG and then start understanding it. So the first thing is this line. This is isometric line, okay, or we can say baseline. So the first upward elevation is known as P wave, okay. After that P wave, it will go down and again it will go up, again it will come down and like this. So we call it as QRS complex, okay. So this is P wave, R wave, Q wave, S wave or T wave. These are the 5 waves and together we call them as interval and segments. So first, as you can see, from here to R segment, so this is known as QPR interval, and from ending point of P to start point of R, this is R segment. So there is R PR interval and PR segment, and three things together is known as QRX complex. As you heard many times in your life, QRS complex. So these are Q from here to here like this. This is QRX complex, and the next part is from S, like from S to T is known as ST segment, and this upward elevation again is known as T wave. From Q to part T is known as QT interval. So just remember this diagram from what section what is called as. So it will be easier for you to understand further. So all this wave, what they are like, P wave is arterial depolarization, Q wave is ventricular, then R wave is complete depolarization, S wave is basal depolarization. If you can remember this, well and then good. If you don't, then just go with my flow. So basic of ECG. So there are leads, some chase leads and some limb leads. So there, what are chase leads? We call them V1, V2, V3, V4, V5 and V6. So there are 6 chase leads and there are 4 limb leads, but fourth one is neutral, that's why we call 3 limb leads, first, second and third. So remember them, V1, V2, V3, 6 are the chase leads and limb leads are first, second and third. Okay, so where you will place that leads on the chest. So first V1 is placed at right fourth intercostal space, like between two ribs there are space and you will keep that side. On right side there is a space between fourth limb lead, like fourth rib, you will place it on the fourth intercostal space. Then for the second, on the left side, fourth intercostal space. Where you will place this third will be placed in between second and fourth, okay. Then fourth in the middle of fifth intercostal space or below the nipple. Then fifth, it is in arterial axilla and this is in middle axilla, okay. So remember this classification because this classification important for MI, like myocardial infarction. For knowing this myocardial infarction, you need these 3 points to be remembered because they are so important. For anterior you will look 1, 2, 3 and 4. For fourth, so for inferior you will look second, third and AVF, and for lateral you will look 1, AVL, 5 and 6. So the next part is heart walls. So there are 4 heart walls. First, aortic, pulmonary, tricuspid and mitral, okay. And what is between them? There is semilunar. And what is between them? Arterioventricular wall, okay. Remember this, and where are the locations as I told you before, but just remember their locations, they will be useful. So as you can see in the diagram, where aortic wall is at right side and tricuspid, then mitral, pulmonic all this you can remember by this diagram, where you will put the leads or where are they present. So now the next thing we will learn is ECG paper. So okay, one big ECG box contain 5 small boxes which are 0.20 seconds or 5 mm. For example, like I told you, 5 small boxes. So 5 small boxes are 0.04 into 5. It will be 0.20 seconds. So for one small box is equal to 0.04 second, and 5 small boxes converted into one big box. So it is 20 second. This is so important that it will help you in diagnosis many of the heart disease. So this is what your leads looks in ECG paper. First, second, third. These are limb leads. Now this point, and then your chest lead V1, V2, V3, V4, V5 and V6. So these are opposite to each other. As you can see, these are downward and these are upward. So remember this. So the next part is rhythm. Whatever we studied before, all these are the basics. You must learn it by heart, because without this you can't learn the ECG. These are the main things you can remember, and after that it will become easy by every step that you will learn ECG early, fast and easy way. So remember all the basic first. Okay, so let's start with the rhythm. This is the first topic of our today is rhythm. So rhythm is like regular rhythm. So as I told you earlier in the video, RR interval is there, like gap between two RR is checked to know it is regular or not regular. So as you can see from here, 1 2 3 and 4, again 1 2 3 4, again 1 2 3 4. So as you can see, there are 4 big boxes are coming in 2 RR. So it is regular, like as you can see here, equal. So it is regular. So it is regular rhythm. So it is known as normal sinus rhythm. Afterwards, irregularly irregular. In irregular, what happens? There is no P wave present. So there is no P wave you can like see very well. Like you cannot see very well like P wave is present or absent. Like most of the time P wave is absent and it is not regular. Like you can see here 2 boxes, again 3 boxes, 3 boxes, 2 boxes, 3 boxes. So it is not regular. The RR gap is not regular. Here 2 boxes, here 1 2 3, here 1 2. So between 2 RR there is gap not equal. So it is irregular. But in third part, like regular, irregular, what is this? So as you can see, first you can see here, then again see here, again is here. What are the similarity here? Something is regular but still it is irregular. Like you can see 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Okay, again 1 2 3 4, again 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Like 8 are coming, then 4 8 4 8 again. So there is some pattern, but still it is irregular, because the normal heart rate must be 60 to 100 beats between them. So it's not regular. Like you can see, sometimes bigger, again small, again bigger, and again small. That's why it is regularly irregular, and it is commonly seen in second degree heart block, which is type 2. So how we will calculate the rate? So as I told you, RR interval is count by big boxes, and then we will know how to calculate the rate. For example, there is regular rhythm. So the patient is normal and you want to calculate how much is heart beating. So what you will do, you will count big boxes between 2 RR. So look at this example first. This is RR and RR. So I count 1 2 3 and 4. So there are 4 boxes in RR. So I wrote 300 above 4. So divided by it's equal to 75. So remember this formula, by 300 by big boxes in or RR interval. So you can calculate the normal heart rate. But if there is irregular, so how you will calculate irregular heartbeat? So there in irregular heartbeat, what you will do, you will take 6 second ECG. 6 second ECG paper you will take, and you will count all RR present in that 6 second ECG. For example, there are 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. This is 6 second ECG, and in that 9 are coming. So 9 into 10 you will do like this. Count all RR in the 6 second and multiply it by 10. So it will come your beat per second, like this one. We did here 9 RR are present, that's why we put 9 into 10 is equal to 90, but it is irregular, that's why it's more or less, you can see, that's why it is irregular. You can count like this, and in regular by 300 by RR interval gap or big boxes. So these are two types by how you can calculate the rate. First we learn about three rhythms, which is regular, irregularly irregular, then regularly irregular. These are the three types of rhythm. Then we could learn about two types of rates, how you will calculate, and then now we will study axis. So what is the axis? In normal cardiac axis, it is minus 30 to 110. So every lead has some positive or negative part, okay, as I told you. So one is positive, 60 second, like there are 30, 60, 90, 120 and 150 and 180. So on this axis, by this axis we can learn where your heart axis is present. For example, just go to the first thing, you should go to the ECG, check what are the leads present, positive or negative, in two parts. First check first limb lead 1 and AVF. If it is present above, like R wave is upward and it is positive, right, positive here, then in AVF look R wave is upward, then again write positive. So if both are positive, then it is, look, both are positive, then it is normal cardiac. Where it will be present, like for example, we add what we said, first is positive, this one is positive, here negative, okay. So one is positive, if one is positive you will write here plus, if one is negative you will write here, okay. How to write on the graph I am teaching you now. If your lead is positive, write plus here. If your lead is negative in first, write here, okay. In AVF, if your lead is positive, write here, and if your lead is negative, write opposite side here, like your negative, okay. So our both leads are positive, so I wrote first here positive and second here, and our axis is coming here, so our heart is normal, in normal axis. If what will happen if one lead is negative and another is positive, so let's learn about this. So the next one is left axis derivation. So as I told you, first always look for lead 1 and then AVF. So these are the graph, as you know, this side are positive and this side is negative, okay. So first check, so this is first lead 1, so in lead 1 it is positive because R wave is coming upward in first lead, and then we will go to the next lead which is AVF. In AVF it is negative, so as I wrote you negative, so just write here AVF is negative and lead 1 is positive. So if your lead 1 is positive, write here positive, and your, as I told you, AVF is negative, so write negative here. So positive and negative, between this is your axis is coming, so this is left axis, okay. So move to the next axis which is right axis derivation or derivative, okay. So as we will always we do, which is we will look for the first lead. What is first lead? First lead is negative because it is downward. Then we will look AVF, which is upward, means positive. So we will write on a graph. So our AVF is positive and our first lead is negative. So I will write negative here because this side is positive and this side is negative. Negative, negative, this negative, this negative, this positive, and this side are positive. Okay, always remember. This axis must be remembered because it will help you to tell which is it in normal axis, left axis, right axis or extreme axis, okay. So as you wrote these two, like AVF is positive and lead 1 is negative, so this one is positive I wrote here, this one I wrote negative. Automatically it will tell that your graph is coming, your axis is coming between this, so it is right axis derivative, or simple you can say RAD. So this one, now we know how to know the axis. By this we will know that in our graph what is the axis of the patient, like left, right or normal. So move on to the next point, and which is so important, P wave. So you know what is P wave, like this one, this graph is coming again downward, R wave, and this one, this part is known as P wave, okay. So for normal P wave the height is 2.5 mm or 2.5 small boxes, okay, and the wideness is also same 2.5. So if it is more than 2.5 it's abnormal, if it's long like it's broad to then 2.5, still it is problematic. So these are the normal readings for both of them. Now we'll study abnormal P wave. So if P wave height is more than 2.5 or small box, like 2.5 small boxes, so it is known as peak P wave or P pulmonary, and P pulmonary is a symbol of right atrial enlargement. So this is our diagnosis. So first disease we are studying now, right atrial enlargement. Okay, so if P wave height is more, then it is right atrial enlargement. So where you will check? So go to the second lead. As you can see in second lead, I mark here like these points. You can see, if you can see here points, it is more than 2.5 mm. So it is, always look at the second lead, and if it is more, then it is right axial enlargement. Abnormal P wave, I am saying abnormal P wave. If it is 2.5, then it's normal. More than that, it is abnormal, and like wideness is more, still it is abnormal, because its normal readings are 2.5 mm height and 2.5 mm width. More than that, it is always problematic. Okay, so as you can see in the graph, it is more, so it is known as right atrial enlargement. Now you can see here also like 1, 2 and 3, so it is more. This P wave is more here, that's why it is right atrial enlargement. Now next part, if P wave wideness is more, like it's more wide, so what we will do? Wide P wave is known as P lateral. So it is known as, oh, I just made mistake here, it's left here, please make it right, left atrial enlargement. Okay, and it is known by M shape. You can see M shaped in the ECG graph. So just look at this second lead. As you can see here, something is like M is making form, and in sixth lead also it is making form in first lead. So it will form double bifid, like double P wave, like M shape. So by this you can remember this is wide P wave. So wide P wave, what tell us wide P wave? What the disease patient have? It is left atrial enlargement. If it is more height, P wave have more height, then it is right, and if it's wide, then it is left. So these are the points of P wave. Now if P wave is absent only, there is no P wave, like no height, no wide, P wave is absent. So what P wave tell us? So we studied this in starting, but still we will revise it. If P wave is absent, as I told you in the rhythms, it is RR wave is irregular. So irregular, like I told you, like 2 gaps, 3 gaps, 2 gaps, 2 gaps, 3 gaps. So it is irregular. But P wave is not present here. As you can see, P wave is absent. Like here is negative sometimes. So P wave is absent, and RR interval is not regular. So it is known as atrial fibrillation. So this is your diagnosis. If P wave is absent and RR is not regular, then it is atrial fibrillation. If P wave is present, but now RR interval is regular, so what it will tell? It will tell you proximal supraventricular tachycardia. For this, we have to check 24-hour ECG. Okay, remember this, because sometimes we check for the patient. Patient will say, I have chest pain and I am feeling palpitations and my heart rate is increased. And when you check the ECG, all is normal. To make diagnosis, we have to go through 24-hour ECG, and by then we can remember, because it is very for short time it is coming. So you can look at this ECG here, it's normal, but look at this point where I mark in a red color. It is PSVT. PSVT means proximal supraventricular tachycardia. So always remember, here P wave is absent. You can see this is T wave, because P wave must present here, this part. So P wave is absent, directly it is coming like QRS and T, QRS, T. So here P wave is absent, but T is present and R in other parts are coming. So it is known as, and you can see here gap is of 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So RR is regular and P wave is absent. So it is known as proximal supraventricular tachycardia. And SVT also is the same, but it is not for short period of time. So never confuse between them. PSVT is for short time, but SVT, like supraventricular tachycardia, is not for a short time. Okay, and in both places P wave is absent and RR is regular. So next part where P wave is present but RR is irregular. Before we studied P wave is absent and RR is irregular. Now P wave is present and RR is irregular. So what it tells us, like P wave is present, R is present, T wave is present. But here you can see here gap is more, less, less, more, less, less. So it's not equal. As you can see by just looking at the graph in second lead, you will see that it is not equal. RR interval is not equal. It's like sometimes it's long, short. So it is not regular. So first thing you rule out that it's not regular. Then P wave is present. Yes, P wave is present. So what will be the diagnosis? Diagnosis will be sinus arrhythmia. As you can see by this, look, ECG is simple, but just you need to approach in a proper way, that you will learn it better way. So always check for P wave, T wave, Q, what is absent, what is present, and what is the disc formation happen in that ECG. First rule out that thing and you will know what your diagnosis is. So next part is double P wave or sawtooth appearance. So just look at this graph. So this is your P wave, Q, R, S and T. But you can see here one more piece come in. After T, this must not come. Here little bit flatness come, then P wave come. But here second graph is coming. Look, again P wave, double P waves are coming. So they are known as sawtooth appearance. As you can see here 3, 3, 3, and there must be only T, some like flattening of the line, and again one elevation which is P wave. So here two elevations are coming. That's why I tell double P wave. So it is also known as sawtooth pattern, and it is of arterial flutter, not arterial fibrillation. I am saying arterial flutter. Both things are different in that. And in arterial flutter, P wave is double and its sawtooth appearance are giving. That's why always make difference between them. RR wave, here RR is regular. As you can see in flutter, RR is regular, but you can see double P wave is coming. As you can see double P wave is coming. So both are different, like arterial fibrillation is different, arterial flutter is different. Okay, so move on to the next part, which is multifocal arterial tachycardia. What is tachycardia? Heart rate more, okay, and bradycardia means heartbeat are less. So always remember this. So what is multifocal arterial tachycardia? So its name only is giving hint that multifocal means different two shapes. Then arterial means P wave, and tachycardia means heart rate more than 100. As I told you, heart rate increase, tachycardia, heart rate decrease, it is bradycardia. So just look at the graph. Okay, so as you can see in all full ECG, P wave is different in every part. Like here it is short, again here something, again another different. So the shapes of the P wave are different everywhere, and you can see height of the RR is also not proper, like they are not equal. Some are going high, some are low, some are high. So this is known as multifocal atrial tachycardia. So you will make diagnosis by this. Another example is this. Look, here the M shape is coming. Another here elevation is there, more elevation is there, again short, under, short. So just look at the P waves. P wave is not proper in a shape, like sometimes it's giving different shapes in the lead, second lead. That's why it is known as multifocal arterial tachycardia, short form MAT. So move on to the next part, which is PR interval. So you must know what is PR interval. From like this is P, then is Q, R, S, T. So this gap is known as PR interval. Okay, so what is the normal range of PR interval and what is the time? So 0.12 to 0.20 second, or maybe 3 to 5 small boxes. It is normal time or normal range in the ECG paper. So if it is short, what will happen? If PR interval is short, like less than 0.12, sorry, so it is known as Wolff-Parkinson syndrome, because it is mostly asked in the exams. Always remember, NEET PG, FMG, most of the exam asks about this syndrome. So what happened in this syndrome? As you can see, PR interval is short. So normal PR interval looks like this. Okay, but here you can see there is no gap. It's having shortness, like there is some shortness here present in this graph, as you can see. So it is known as, just look for the P wave, and P wave shape is also same, like everywhere you can see P wave shape is same, but the interval between PR and R it became short. That's why it is known as Wolff-Parkinson syndrome. Okay, rule out these things because always go for little things in the ECG and it will already give you the diagnosis. Okay, then next part, if it is prolonged, like it's taking more time now, it is prolonged like one big box, and usually it is 3 to 4 small boxes. Now it's taking one big box, means like 5 small boxes is taking. So what is tell you? It is tell you arterioventricular block. So in arterioventricular block there are 3 types: first degree, second degree, and third degree. So we'll study now one degree one by one. Okay, first degree PR is prolonged. Okay, PR interval is prolonged. In second degree, QRS is dropped somewhere, and there are 2 types. Like in second degree there are 2 types, B1 and B2, which is MOBIS 1 and MOBIS 2. In MOBIS what happens? PR is variable, like there is difference, but in PR, in second MOBIS, PR is constant. We'll look at this one by one by example. For just now, just remember this thing. This is the classification, or we can say subtypes of this degree. And the third is complete heart block. Okay, so let's start with the first degree heart block. And what this first degree heart block is coming in PR interval. Okay, don't forget about PR interval, because in abnormal PR interval it is prolonged, and in that 3 degrees are coming. Okay, so first degree is prolongation. What is prolongation? As you can see, this is a P wave and this is R point, like Q point, and this is R point. Okay, so here difference is coming, like normally it is small boxes, 3 to 4 small boxes, but here it's taking more than 2 big boxes, completely 2 big boxes are taking, so it is prolonged. Okay, so it is first degree heart block. Second, it is second degree heart block, where QRS complex is dropped, and it is first type of MOBIS 1. Okay, so as you can see here, PR is like small distance, it is okay, short, again here long, more long, again short, and as you can see here QR is absent. It must be like QR is present here, it must also be present here, but it is dropped. So first thing we are rule out that QRS is dropped, and PR interval is not same everywhere. So variable PR wave is there, and QRS is also dropped. So what it is? It is second degree heart block. And in second degree, what is subtype? Subtype is MOBIS 1. So we'll study now MOBIS 2. What is MOBIS 2? First thing, what must be there? QRS drop, and second, PR must be constant. So we'll check now. So as you can see here, PR is taking 4 small boxes, or we can say 5 small boxes, or 1 big box. Okay, here taking 1 box, here also 1, here also 1, here also 1, and here also 1. So PR interval is constant now for here, but what is the difference? Here QRS is absent, again drop is coming here, so it is absent. So what we rule out first? We rule that QRS is absent here, and PR is constant. If variable, then it's first, but it is constant, so it is MOBIS second. And the third degree is complete heart block. So there is one more thing that we can calculate in third degree heart block. What we come? So from R to R interval we first check, and then we check P to P interval. So there are P twice coming because here is drop, so we'll count this. So write PR interval like 300 above PR interval and 300 below RR interval. So both must be equal in a normal person. If it is not equal, then it is complete heart block. Okay, this is the simplest way by which you can differentiate all the ECGs. And what is the treatment for third degree heart block? Complete heart block is there, so you will do cardiac pacemaker. You will put cardiac pacemaker. So now let's move to the new point, which is Q wave. What is a Q wave? Normal Q wave have 0.04 second or 1 mm or 1 small box. And abnormal, what abnormal will do? It will be more or it will be less. Okay, so more than 2 small boxes deep. This is like, look at this. This is P, Q, R, S, this, and again this coming it like this. Okay, so this is your Q. This down part was Q. Okay, so always remember what is P, Q, R, S, and T. Don't forget this, because without this you can't learn this. So abnormal. What is there? Abnormal means it is more than 0.04 second. So what it's tell, like Q wave mostly present in MI, like you have been first MI and it is showing that it is pathological wave. Okay, always remember Q wave is pathological. It will show that you is having previous myocardial infarction. So about this we'll study separately. For now just remember Q wave shows us pathological sign that you were having first some myocardial infarction. So let's study R wave. Now this is the interesting part. R wave have height of less than 20 mm. What is 20 mm? 20 mm means like 4 big boxes. Okay, so 4 big boxes or 20 small boxes, always remember this. So in the first part, if height is more than this, so where you will check this? You will check in 5th and 6th lead. Okay, V5 and V6 you will check this. So what it will tell you, look at this, 1 2 3 4 5. So what have we told? That at least need 4 small boxes, less than 4 small boxes, not more than that, but height is more, so you are checking in 5th lead. So it is tell about left ventricular hypertrophy. What are hypertrophy? Hypertrophy means the heart wall of the left side is having thickness and it is making irregularity in the ECG. Always remember this. And you can see in this V6 it is more than 4 big boxes, so it is left ventricular hypertrophy. And if R wave is upward in V1, R wave is upward in V wave, usually it is downward, but if it is upward then it is having right ventricular hypertrophy. Now this side, now right side hypertrophy is there, means right side of ventricular is having thickness. Okay, so you can see in this, just rule out the simple things. If you check V1 is upward, then you will rule out right ventricular hypertrophy. And if you saw in 6th or V5 or V6 there is height more than 4 boxes, then it are left side. Now move to the next part, which is QRS complex. QRS complex. First, QRS complex may be narrow or it may be wide. This is your QRS, so P and Q, R, S and your T. This is your P, R, Q, S, T. So this must be maybe narrow or maybe prolonged. Okay. If it is narrow, then it will tell you proximal supraventricular tachycardia. Okay, and if it's wide, then it will tell ventricular tachycardia. So we will differentiate about proximal. We already know, we studied it before. Now we will study ventricular tachycardia. So there are 2 types of ventricular tachycardia, mono and poly. So first we will study mono. What is monoventricular? High voltage ununiform QRS complex. High voltage uniform QRS complex, sorry. So no P wave, no T wave you will see in the ECG. So just look at this ECG. Are you able to find P wave, Q wave, any wave? No. You are just looking at this big mountains. If you saw like this big mountains, simply write it as ventricular tachycardia. Okay, big mountains, ventricular tachycardia, because you are not able to find P wave, T wave, because there is no presence of this in this. So just write it as VT. Simple. So your answer is solved. Now second one is polymorphic, and it is also known as torsatus de pointes. Okay, it is non-uniform. There is no QRS complex, no proper R complex, nothing, just they are zigzag lines. So you can see here, compare these two with each other, like look at this big mountains. At least you know R wave is somewhat regular, but here no R wave, no Q wave, no P wave, all are mixed. So what is inversion? MgSO4 you can give there. Okay, now ventricular arterial fibrillation we already saw. Let's look at the ventricular fibrillation. It is low voltage ECG. Okay, here also you can't identify anything like QRS complex, you can't find. You can find P wave, T wave, nothing. Small mountain. What about big mountains? We told about ventricular tachycardia. Big mountains you can see. But if you saw small mountains and no similarity like zigzag lines, this is known as ventricular fibrillation. Arterial fibrillation is different. Arterial flutter is different. Ventricular fibrillation is different. Okay, remember this thing, because mostly people think fibrillation, just remember one word and they mark the answer and they got wrong in the exam. So always remember these things. Now left bundle branch block. Okay, simple, so simple. You can find it in any way. Just remember 2 things. If in V1 it's giving W pattern, and in V6 it's giving M pattern, it is your left side bundle branch block, okay, in the QRS shape. Okay, just look at this. In V1 it's giving W, as you can see, W, 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 and in V6 it's looking like M, M. So just write the answer, left bundle branch block. And opposite of it, it's giving right side. What is right? Right bundle branch block. So in V1 M shape is given, and in V6 W. It was opposite in left, but now opposite in right. So if you can see, this is your M, and here it's giving W. Look at the W's downside. So it's your right bundle branch block. That's it. You are sorted. No need to think again and again. Just look V1 and V6, and if you can compare this with this lines, you are sort out. Now QT interval. Now QT interval is tell about your hypercalcemia, hypocalcemia. Okay, so in QT interval, normal thing is like 0.36 seconds or 0.44 seconds, like 9 to 10 or 9 to 11 small boxes. So if it is short, it will tell you hypercalcemia. As you can see here, this is the normal. Okay, this is your Q, and this is your T still here. Now here it is normal. Okay, but as you can see here, gap is more, and in normal one gap is more, but here you can see it is so small. So it is telling about hypercalcemia. Okay, and if it's long, like in normal this one must be there, but as you can see it is going too much long, so it is telling hypocalcemia. That's it. Only this thing you have to remember, and you are sort out. Now next part, which is ST segment. So usually ST segment is flat. As you can see, this one is normal. Look, this is S and this is your T. This part it is flat. This part is always flat. But if it's elevated or depressed, then it's give different types of problems in the heart. So STEMI, hypercalcemia, pericarditis, early depolarization, and variant angina are the causes of ST elevation. Like this flat thing will be rise like this. Okay. So as you can see, there are different types of ECG I gave here. You can just look at the ST wave, and it is so easy to remember. Like this is S and this is T. So as you can see, it is upward, 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 and upward. So it is elevation. So and depression. What are the depression? Simple way. It will go down shape. Non-STEMI and hypocalcemia, because hypercalcemia is coming here. Okay. These are the two types. So let's study myocardial infarction. So as in the start, I told you already about anterior, inferior, and lateral. There is a classification in the start of the ECG I gave. So just learn that, because that part will help you now here. Look, anterior myocardial infarction. It is ST elevation is seen in these four parts: V1, V2, V3, and V4. And depression is seen in opposite leads. Okay, so depression will be seen in the opposite leads. So just look at this graph. I told you at least 2 consecutive rise, at least in 4 out of 2 leads you must look, and if there is elevation, then you will rule out anterior myocardial infarction. So at V2 and V3 you can see here is elevation is present. Look at this elevation. So if elevation is present, it is myocardial infarction. Same thing for the inferior myocardial infarction. If ST elevation in inferior leads like second, third, and AVF. So just look at second, third, and AVF. This second, third, and AVF. Okay. So look at this elevation. As you can see, there is elevation, and in opposite lead there are depressions. So it is known as inferior myocardial. So let's move to the next part, which is lateral MI. What is lateral MI? ST elevation in lateral leads in first, AVL, V5, and V6. So look at this first. In first you can see elevation, in fifth you can see elevation, in sixth you can see, and even in AVL you can see the elevation. So it is rule out the lateral MI, because they are lateral leads, and in lateral leads you can see ST elevation, so it is known as lateral MI. So now, which is next part is pericarditis. What is pericarditis? ST elevation is in all the leads except in AVR. So just look, elevation is there, elevation, 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 elevation. As you can see, almost everyone elevation is there of ST, but as you can see here it is downward. So as we say, ST elevation all the leads except this one, AVR. So in AVR it is downward, so we'll rule out at pericarditis. And this is the last part now, T wave, which is the last part of our ECG, and it is so easy. There is no mugging up or anything. You must remember what is T wave. T wave is 1/4 of R wave. R wave, as I told you, R wave is 4 boxes of height, having 4 boxes of height. So 1/4 means one part, like one big box is height of T wave. So as I wrote here, normal height wave is one big box. So if T wave is heighted or tall T waves are there, just rule out hyperkalemia. Like, as look at this simple example, more than one box. This is one box, okay, and it is more than one box. So look at this one box and it is more than one box. So it is known as tolted T waves. Rule out hyperkalemia. Then depressed T wave. It is known as, if heighted is telling about hyper, then obvious depression will tell about hypo. So it is hypokalemia. As you can see, depressions. Okay, so with this your ECG is completed, and I think most of the disease, most of the problems you are coming in day to the life clinical practice or in the exams are coming are covered here. But only 1-2 things you need to do. You have to revise the basics of the ECG. Then next part, you have to practice little bit ECG, like every day try to practice 1 or 2 ECGs randomly from the internet. Just search it for any disease and try to rule out that are you able to find the things. If you are able to find the things, well then good. If no, try to solve again and again. After some practice you will remember it so well that in any exam, just you will see the ECG in the exams and you will know that this is the problem I need to rule out. So with this end our ECG topic, and try to follow my YouTube channel.